The inspiration, I guess, for starting Reflex all those years ago was the fact that I started in the business with a very small entrepreneurial company nearly 40 years ago. That company grew, was very successful, got taken over by a company called Barcrest. Barcrest was subsequently taken over by IGT. So I grew up in a business that was growing and changing ownership, and what I figured is that I preferred the smaller entrepreneurial, more fleet of foot environment than a big corporate environment. I guess I've always been aspirational and had desires to do my own thing. And I met a young guy called Simon Dawson, who was at university. Simon, when he left university, joined in the industry, and we soon collaborated in setting up a subsidiary of the Bell Fruit Group called QPS. And that company did very well. Simon and I worked very well together. But again, we were starting to become part of a bigger corporate entity. So after 5 years of that, back in 2004, we decided to set up Reflex. We saw some niche opportunities in the marketplace that the company we were then working for wouldn't chase. And we got on and chased them and never looked back, really. The greatest achievements, I think, first of all, we've been a profitable business all the way through since inception, apart from the pandemic, which clearly affected the whole industry. But very proud of the fact that we've driven profitability from day one. Got a great culture, great people in the business. A lot of them been around us a long time now, and I think that adds to the strength and depth and the resilience that we have within Reflex. Back in 2015, we were recognised as by the Sunday Times Fast Track as the 45th fastest growing tech company in the UK, and a lot of growth and effort hanging onto a tiger's tail, if you like, in that growth phase to get that accolade. One of the things we did back in 2005-06, I think, was we created a lottery machine which went into the private members club market, and that's a precursor to the B3A product that we see today. And then in 2019, we sold out to another family-owned business. So the culture remains very much as it was as we started the business. The ethos remains the same, and the enjoyment level, very importantly, remains the same. Yes, the biggest lesson for me over the last 20 years is one of resilience. You get some good times in business, but you get some real big challenges. We had the introduction of the new Gambling Act in 2007, which took Reflex then. We were making about 50 machines a week. We dropped down to an average of 5 machines a week for the next 2 years. I mean, that was a really, really tough place to be. But we kept going. We didn't really see light at the end of the tunnel for a while, but it came. We then had a 4-year battle with HMRC over the lottery machines that we created, the VAT and AMLD status of that. Very difficult fighting a big government body that really didn't want to engage at a level that we're used to engaging with. It's just sort of like a black hole that we were fighting with for 4 years. We had support from our now parent company, Dransfield, who were then our biggest customer. We had support from our trade association, BACTA, and we overcame that. And I guess on a personal level as well, having founded the business with Simon Dawson back in 2004, he stepped down, I think in about 2017, something like that. Personally, that was quite a big challenge. But again, head down, bit of resilience, lift your head, find new talent in the business. And we're doing things now that we would have probably struggled to do before, but that's part of the evolution. Funny stories? Well, we tend to have a few every trade show I think we go to, maybe more than one.
Ones you can mention though.
Ones you can mention, yeah. Okay. So we have an operations manager called Adi. He's a big character, and he's very influential in the business. And we went down to a trade show. He doesn't work on the stands, but he goes around and sees all the customers and suppliers. And he turned up on an evening with his casual clothes on. Went out for dinner, got up the next morning only to find that he'd packed 2 left shoes. So he ended up going to the show in 2 left shoes, and we had to send him off in a cab to try and buy a new pair. But things like that happen. Like Matt said, some things aren't quite publishable, I guess. Being an MD in a company that's grown is one of evolution. We didn't go from 10 employees to 50 employees overnight. In fact, we started with 2 of us in a very modest industrial unit, and you actually don't feel like an MD. You do everything, everything. And in that heyday, I guess, when we were making more analog machines, and to heyday into the volume of machines being made, we had 120 people across 3 sites. But you can only manage that amount of people, and only 50 people with good people around you. We've got a solid management structure. I've mentioned before, we've got people who've been with us a long time, so they know what they're doing, and it makes it much easier in my seat to help manage a business when you've got people you can really rely on. Defining products for Reflex, many of them. I won't mention the first few because we didn't sell many, but I guess back in the days of Section 1621, an analog product called Fortune 500, that was an amazing product in its day. We did knocking on the door of 1,000 of those machines quite quickly. Another milestone product would be Alice's Wonderland, when we broke into the pub retail market. Again, 1,000 machines sold for a very small company at the time. And then you go on to sort of more recent products in the digital club market. We did a product called Power Play, which was Transfield's #1 product back in the day. We did a couple of thousand of those in quite a short period of time. And then come on to sort of the present era. You've got Game Pro. It's been a fantastic product. I mean, it's not a product as in Alice's Wonderland was 1 game in 1 cabinet. We now got multiple games in 1 cabinet. Game Pro was a 6-year success story for us. Game Master 2 now is a great performer, but the very latest product is Cyclone, and that's the one where we've just got it out in the market since January, and it's really pushed on in the pub retail sector, and we've got aspirations for it in the arcade and bingo sector as well. So, the many milestone products, but those for me are the standout ones.
So this year we're putting a lot of effort into our AGC and bingo product, having achieved great things in the pub retail and the members only club sectors. We're definitely going to be putting some efforts into AGC and bingo this year with the further development of our Fusion hybrid menu, which is a hybrid B4 Cat C menu. We've also got our Cat C community product, which is both of which are starting really, really well. So we're definitely going to be putting more efforts in those. We've got a new B3 product coming out later in the year in our Cyclone cab, which will be fantastic, and it's the perfect cabinet to house a B3 product in. And in other news, we're certainly going to be moving forwards with our online development and penetration into those markets. More work in the US and better distribution into the European markets as well. And that then informs your game development rails for the future, because you've got online and land-based, where there's definitely some cross-channel activity that can take place, both in the marketing side, but also in game theming and mechanics. So yeah, looking forward to the next year. So we'd like to make some headway into the AGC and bingo market. We've got some great friends that we've made in some big influential organisations that are working with us collaboratively to produce the best product that we can produce. We hope to make some headway in that in the next 6 to 9 months. Online, we're ramping up our cadence of our game releases. So our partner Yggdrasil, we're doing 12 games with them in 2025, so lots more activity in the online space, greater penetration into the US markets as well on the online side. So all of those things will add to what Reflex looks like in the next year or so.
I should add as well, the online piece is something that Reflex tried to do for quite a few years before Matt joined the business. And there's a great example there, change equals opportunity. We had new talent come into the business with experience in the online side, and something that we'd failed to do for a number of years beforehand. We've now got not just upward trajectory, which we've had for the past few years, but we've got great momentum now to build on that. And the team are doing a great job. And the games as well, they cross-pollinate. You get great online games we're bringing back into land-based sector, as well as taking some of our strong land-based games and adapting them for online use. So everything's running quite smoothly in that department now. Very exciting.
Yeah.
My favourite Reflex game? Well, I'm not a big player, but we've had some milestone games that we've talked about in the past. I really enjoyed the simplicity of something like Fortune 500 back in the day, which was an analog product, Section 1621. Alice's Wonderland I enjoyed because it was so successful. In terms of playability, I much prefer the modern sort of digital products that we're doing. And I've got to say, my favourite one right now is I could class it as a favourite of all time, really, and that's Big Game Fishing. It's a fantastic production. It's got a very good theme, resonates well with lots of players. There are some mechanics in there that will be familiar to players, but there's also a reflex twist on it, which I think is a real positive to the game in the process. So Big Game Fishing for me is fantastic. Yeah, top game.
Yeah, that's a good question. That kind of changes almost monthly as we release, even better, greater new games. I agree with Quentin that Big Game Fishing, the community version, which is the only one that we've done thus far, is a great product, and I'm really looking forward to releasing all of the variants of that. However, I do think 8 Balls of Fire, which is our next land-based release, is an amazing game, and it's done so well for us online as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that go live. Yeah, I just think we keep getting better and better, and that's got to be a good thing, right? If I was still, if our best game or my favourite game of ours was 10 years old, I'd be a bit concerned about that, but it's not at all. It's our latest product, so I'm very happy about that.
Final words from me would really just be a huge debt of thanks to all the people that have helped Reflex along the journey. Over the last 20 years, we've employed in total somewhere around 250 people, at various stages. We have 50 people in the company now, all of whom have made great contribution and continue to make a great contribution. I think it would be remiss of me not to mention my wife, Serge, who encouraged me to set up the business in the first place and has in fact worked for the business for probably about 12, 13 years now, and has been a big part of its success from a sales and administrating the sales process and indeed running the planning of the production department. So all the people in the business, thank you very much.
I'd just say watch this space, everyone, because when we put our minds to something, we achieve it. We put our minds to growing our share and becoming a dominant force in the pub retail market, and we've done that. We've done it in the members-only club market, thanks to our parents' company, Dransfield, and some of our other big customers there. We've done it in the online sectors as well. Our focus this year on AGC and bingos, just watch this space because we'll be there.